Hi, I'm Marty Nemko. It appears that I've kind of, without really trying, started a little series that may end up being a book or just maybe some standalone stories. And it's about this 70-year-old guy named Bill who, in the first episode, uh, uh, basically got run over and made a paraplegic by an electric scooter that was quiet and he didn't see. His head was buried in his phone. and was saved from declining into deep depression and drug addiction from seeing his dog give birth, which provided inspiration. And in the second episode, in giving away the litter of puppies, he met Iris, a woman who was about her same age and walked with a cane, so they shared the disability in common. And talked about that, and then here we reach the third episode. And this is called Taking Down Romantic Roses. Not unusual for a 70-year-old, Bill woke at 6 a.m. For a moment he was surprised that another body was in his bed, but then he remembered, and he put his head back on the pillow. It was lovely, but do I really want a relationship? I've gotten used to sleeping alone, being alone, doing what I want, when I want. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Maybe she'll get up and say she regretted the whole thing. Bill's getting up woke her, and she smiled. Over a breakfast of chocolate croissants and rich coffee, he shared his dilemma about romantic roses, the company that told him that, unfortunately, quote-unquote, a whole field of his best rose that he had ever hybridized burned. He could find another grower, but they're much more expensive. Iris suggested, what do you think of we driving the few hours down to Romantic Roses and check them out? When Bill called them for an appointment, the owner hesitated for just a moment before too enthusiastically saying, absolutely, it'd be great to meet you. The monotonous drive down Highway 99 into California's Central Valley gave Bill and Iris plenty of time to talk. For example, they shared the top item on their bucket list. Bill's, give a 2-minute talk on the pros and cons of cancel culture. What are they, she asked. Biggest pro? Fewer false facts and malevolent intent. Biggest con? Undue censorship of thought that isn't politically correct. Reminds me a little of Stalinist Russia and Nazi Germany. At the top of her bucket list, dinner with my favorite novelist, Louise Penny, who wrote a novel with Hillary Clinton. Penny's work is comforting, simpler times. It has a main character who's a wise leader, and it's all set in a close-knit town. After snaking through farm roads, including dirt roads, they finally arrived at an impressive sign, Romantic Roses, Inc., which bore a watercolor of a man on his knees proposing marriage while offering a bouquet of roses. Less inviting was the rocky dirt path to the office, which turned out to be a cinder block building bearing an askew stenciled sign that said office. There was no doorbell, so Bill pulled the torn screen door and knocked. A full minute passed before a man barked, "Who is it?" When they identified themselves, he transformed. "Oh, welcome. Please come in." The owner ushered them to sit in the cheap white plastic chairs that sat in front of a dented metal desk. He sat himself behind that barrier. After pleasantries, Bill asked about the burned roses. The owner replied, "Oh, I am so sorry. One of the workers lit a cigarette and tossed the match. He walked away, and by the time they saw the smoke, it was too late." Iris asked, "Would you mind showing us the area?" "You'll see it. Walk wherever you like." They walked along the path and along the tractor tracks. Indeed, amid the fields of growing roses, there was a field so burned he couldn't tell if it was his roses or a controlled burn. With a sigh, he said, "Let's get some lunch." Lily said, "We could ask the owner for a recommendation, but I don't want to go back there." There was nothing along the route they had driven, but maybe if we drive a little further down the road, Bill said. They did and passed uncultivated land, but a half-mile later, set back from the road was a field of what appeared to be very small roses. Were they just seedlings, just starting out, or could they be micro-minis, those that he specialized in? They parked the car and walked along the tractor tracks. It was a field of his roses. I should sue the bastards, said Bill. On the other hand, it would cost me a fortune for a lawyer, and they can probably afford a better one when a lawyer will paper me into submission. It's only a few $1,000 worth of roses. I guess I'll just find another grower. Iris said, I like that other hand, and she took his. Anyway, I thank you for watching. I'm Marty Nemko. I welcome your thumbs up and accept your thumbs down. I always look forward to your comments, and especially like it if you hit the share button below. Share on your social media so that my efforts can have broader impact. And I am flattered if you choose to subscribe to my channel, which usually consists of my self-help advice around career, relationships, money, meaning of life, stuff like that. But occasionally I intersperse these little bits of writing of mine or reading of other people's work that I like. In any event, I do again thank you for watching. I'm Marty Nemko.